Here are 5 more underrated but awesome feats in D&D. Shieldmaster. So you'd think a feat called Shieldmaster would be about playing defensively, but actually it's about going full-on Sparta on nerds and then dogpiling them with your friends. Basically, you get a few tasty benefits while wielding a shield. Firstly, you unlock the magical power to just hit someone with it. Why do you need a feat just to ram a chump with a shield? I don't know, but it's really good. You can now take the shove action as a bonus action if you take the attack action on your turn. This lets you attempt to knock a creature prone or push them 5 feet away. Then there are a couple of abilities that boost your dex save bonus and reduce the damage you might take from a dex-based damage source, like Fireball. But really, we're all about that shove. You want to be bopping people every damn turn. Pushing someone 5 feet away is, fine, but knocking them over is brutal. Prone creatures have disadvantage on attack rolls, and every melee attack coming towards them is coming in at advantage. Giving your paladin, fighter, ranger, or rogue advantage on every attack is pretty insane. Also, because pushing someone over is a contested skill check, not a saving throw, legendary resistances do nothing. If you're a flying race, this gets even better, because if you knock a flying enemy prone, their movement speed becomes 0 and they just fall out of the sky, which is a pretty hilarious way to kill a pit feat. Honestly, the main reason this feat is underrated is because most people don't realize how it works. Because of how this feat is worded, you can actually use your bonus action to shove someone before you take the attack action, as long as you commit to attacking on your turn. Yeah, seriously. Here's the designer of 5e confirming that it works. That means you can use your bonus action to knock someone down and make all your attacks at advantage. That is crazy powerful, and a single level in Rogue gets you expertise in athletics, making it super reliable too. Rude Knight fighters can even enlarge themselves to shove huge-sized creatures and make shove checks at advantage. At that point, Shieldmaster goes beyond being really good and strays into busted levels of powerful. Aberrant dragonmark. If you ever wanted a sick tattoo that also whispered sweet nothings to you while you slept, this feat can do that. More importantly though, it bumps your constitution by 1 when you take it. This is awesome. There is no race, class, or playstyle that doesn't appreciate a thicker booty of hit points for your DM to slap. You also get a cantrip of choice from the sorcerer spell list and a first level sorcerer spell that you can cast for free once per day. Your constitution is your spellcasting ability for these spells. As far as first level spells go, having an emergency shield or silvery barbs on hand will come in handy for literally any build. But there's also some great utility, damage, and buff options too. Finally, casting off Constitution means any class can use these spells, even if you're foolish, stupid, and ugly. So already, we're looking at a feat that is situationally better than the beloved Magic Initiate. Sure, you get 1 less cantrip and you have to pick spells from the Sorcerer list. But in exchange, we get a +1 to Constitution and we can cast any spells we learn with other spell slots we have, which is amazing for spellcasters. However, the real icing on the Tarrasque here is the Greater Aberrant Powers feature. Now, the DM does have the option to veto this ability, but it is in the feat, so we're going to talk about it. Put simply, at level 10, you have a 10% chance to receive an epic boon. This is insane. Epic boons are normally reserved for players going beyond level 20. They do stuff like give you a permanent 40 hit point boost, let you ignore the damage resistances of all enemies, give you the totally busted magical resistance ability or proficiency in all skills. And if you don't get the boon at level 10, you have another 10% chance to win it every time you level up. But even without the epic boon, this feat is still amazing.
And that's how you get infinite boobies in D&D. You! Yeah!
Who are you?
They call me Kickstarter, because I start off by kicking, then I work my way up to stamping on your balls.
Can't you be a good Kickstarter?
A good Kickstarter? What would that even look like?
Well, sort of like Neyavina.
Neyavina is a colossal expansion to D&D, bringing a new setting, races, subclasses, mechanics, and more, all based around Slavic mythology, badass monsters, culture, art, adventures, and a fuck ton of awesome minis. We've all played games influenced by Arthurian and Greek legend. Boring! How about a motherfucking mustache fish? It's all available right now on Kickstarter for a limited time only, link below.
Well, that actually does sound like a good Kickstarter.
Yeah. You can still stamp on my balls though, if you want.
Ugh.
Check out Neavina on Kickstarter right now. Link in description. Healer. Look, I get it. Healing doesn't sound exciting. However, being a barbarian who can decapitate a troll 1 minute and patch up a bro the next is legitimately amazing. Firstly, when you stabilize a creature with a healer's kit, they get 1 hit point back. Boom! You just turned a useless ally into a massive threat on the battlefield again. In combat, this is just as good as the Cure Wounds spell. The difference between bringing an ally back at 1 hit point or 6 is negligible. The only hit point that matters is your final one. They both cost an action and require you to be next to the person you heal. The only difference is this one didn't cost you a spell slot, and anyone can do it. But wait, there's more! You can use an action and a healer's kit to restore hit points to an ally equal to 1d6 plus 4 plus their level. Downside is a creature you heal like this can't be healed in this way again until they finish a short rest. That's pretty insane cash value when you think about it. A potion of healing costs 50 gold. And restores 6 hit points on average. A healer's kit costs 5 gold, restores 8 hit points at level 1, and can be used 10 times. Not only is this better than a potion of healing, it is literally 100 times cheaper. By level 8, it's even outperforming the potion of greater healing. It also makes for a great patch-up job if your party doesn't have time to make a short rest. In a dangerous location, being able to pass around 60 points of healing in 30 seconds after a fight is invaluable. Now sure, a fighter with the healer feat isn't going to be as good at healing as your cleric. But if your cleric ever gets knocked out, this feat can be the difference between a TPK and a TP yay. Oh, that was a bad joke. I have sinned. Look, the point is you never want to over-rely on healing spells. They can run out, your caster can die, and if your DM is a goddamn psychopath, they can even be counterspelled. But you can't counterspell a barbarian waving a bottle of smelling salts, and that can make all the difference when fighting a lich. Also, this feat goes crazy when you give it to a thief rogue, because they can stabilize people with a bonus action. Now you can regenerate allies from 0 every turn and still attack. That's pretty badass. Telekinetic. Back up, fellas. It's Baby Yoda time. Telekinetic starts off strong by pumping your wisdom, intelligence, or charisma by 1. Instantly, this is great on any caster, pumping you up in your primary stats. Then you learn the Mage Hand cantrip. You can cast it without components, it can be invisible, and it can reach a range of 60 feet. Just like a Githyanki, you can now never be tied up, because you can always conjure a Mage Hand to free yourself, even if you're bound and gagged. You can also wedgie people and steal stuff even while holding a conversation and staring right into their eyes. That's power. Honestly, this feat would be pretty good if that's all it did, but it does so much more. The feat lets you use a bonus action to telekinetically shove a creature you can see within 30 feet. They need to make a strength save, or be telekinetically pulled or pushed 5 feet towards or away from you. Forced movement in D&D is awesome. It can do so many powerful things. Firstly, you can never be hit with an opportunity attack. This is pretty silly, but rules as written, you are a creature that you can see within 30 feet of yourself. Therefore, you can bonus action push yourself 5 feet away from your current position. Then, because this is forced movement, you won't trigger an opportunity attack when you leave someone's range. Telekinetic doesn't specify you have to target another creature, so this is legit. Now, your DM might say no, that is bullshit, because it kind of is, but even without that, there's a ton of stuff you can do here. This feat is awesome for breaking grapples on your allies. Basically, a grapple automatically ends if you force pull your friend out of it. This can get them out of some nasty situations, like being inside a T-Rex's mouth, for example. You can also force pull them out of an enemy's range so they can run away on their turn without wasting an action disengaging. Then of course you can push enemies off cliffs or into walls of fire or within slapping distance of your party's paladin. This is a god tier feat for spellcasters who usually have their bonus action free, like wizards or warlocks, and it's still pretty great on everyone else. Eldritch Adept. So Cthulhu is bad, right? But the power of Cthulhu, that's pretty good. So what if you could get that power without having to give Daddy Cthulhu a foot rub every full moon? Eldritch Adept lets you grab any warlock invocation. If you're not already a warlock, the feat can't have any prerequisites, so no agonizing blasts for the bard, sadly. Still, invocations are the coolest part of the Warlock class, and they're what makes them the most customizable class in the game. Now, anyone can grab those features to customize their build any way they like. Beguiling Influence nets you a couple of social proficiencies, and Beast Speech lets you chat it up with animals for free. Mask of Many Faces makes you the ultimate infiltrator, and Eldritch Sight gives you infinite castings of Detect Magic. These are great for filling out the soft skills that make your character come to life. But there's some real combat power here too. Devil's Sight is a disgustingly powerful ability that lets you see normally in both magical and non-magical darkness up to 120 feet. This transforms the darkness spell into one-way Heavy Obscurement, where you can see your enemies, but they can't see you. Heavy Obscurement is broken in D&D, turning off a ton of abilities and making almost all spellcasting enemies useless. Seriously, the amount of spells and abilities that require an enemy to see are insane. It also means your attacks are coming in at advantage and your enemies at disadvantage. If you can scrape together a whole party who can fight in darkness between this feat being a warlock or taking the blind fighting style, things get crazy. You'd be like a specialized team of darkness assassins, great for both roleplay and teamwork tactics. There are also more niche ways to break this feat, like an Abjuration Wizard getting an infinitely recharging pool of temporary hit points with the Armor of Shadows invocation. Honestly though, Eldritch Adept shines as a way to explore new ideas and tactics that most classes don't get access to. There is only one downside, and that's that you need a spellcasting or packed magic ability to take it. This means that fighters, barbarians, monks, and rogues can't. However, I think that's overly restrictive and a bit weird. Anyone should be able to go on a part-time contract with Satan, whether or not they can cast spells. Personally, I'd homebrew this feat to let any class take it if they want. It's not going to break the game, it just gives a ton more fun roleplay and spell-themed abilities to classes that don't normally get them. If you want to support the videos and help make them awesome, check out the Patreon up here or down there. You get a ton of awesome perks for joining, like playing D&D in the games that I run, getting over 300 pages of supplemental adventures and material to use in your own games, or just supporting the channel because you like it. Also, just liking, subscribing, and checking out other videos I've made is awesome. Thanks so much for your support, you are awesome, and I'll see you next time.